on since you had your total knee replacement in late August. Quick question for you to start with. What does resilience mean to you now? And what have you learned about your own resilience between leading up to your late August total knee replacement and since
Um, wow, it's a big question.
then? Yeah.
um, as we've talked in the past, there's so many different kinds of resilience, but this one here was a, pretty much a really long, like a goal I was really trying to chase, and so I was goal driven the entire time. So um, a little backstory. So like almost a year, well, yeah, almost a year ago around Thanksgiving, I wound up doing some yard work and I picked up something and I felt my knee go backwards. And
Mhm.
my knee had been bothering me for years, and but wow, I my partner said, Christine said, you better go to a doctor. So I better get this checked out because that doesn't sound good. And sure enough, I would say in 12 hours I was in this doctor's office. They looked at an X-ray and they said something about a 90-year-old man's knee and gave me a cortisone shot and scheduled me for 12 weeks of PT before cutting my doing my knee surgery. And I was like, whoa. I I'd had some pain in my knee, but it was nothing like that.
Wow. So that really happened very fast. In fact, that was going to be my next question was when did you realize and even make the decision to move forward with a total knee replacement?
Well, I would say when I got home, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not doing that. That was
Mm,
crazy.
mm,
I mean, my knee's been bothering me on and off. I had a torn meniscus about 10, 12 years ago, and
mm,
which was arthroscopically removed. And that was cool, but that was like a small surgery compared to like getting your whole knee replaced. And I didn't know anything about knee replacements except for knowing you for so many years. I've known your journey, but I didn't personalize that at all. So yeah, that was a hard rule. So I canceled that within that week. I said,
mm.
I got the cortisone shot. The cortisone shot felt good. I said, I better start looking into this.
Yes, yes. It's a journey, isn't it? And then the
Oh
second
yeah.
second part of that question, because I'm just so curious, as you know, I'm very much into resilience. I help people be identify their unique resilience and help them grow it. What did you learn about your resilience through this? Did you notice any evolution or change to it?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, after I realized I had to do this, I I started on a journey, and I just said, I'm going to talk to anybody and everybody to really get some. I'm going to chase this like a huge project, um, and thankfully my trainer Jillian McGee, she knows, she's into sports and fascial tissue work and things. So she said, Don, if you're gonna want to use your knee afterwards, you're gonna see this. You have to see this one doctor in the main med system. He's a sports orthopedic guy, and he's not easy to get a hold of. So I started my resilience at that point, saying I'm gonna wait for the best guy that I can find because I want to go skiing again. I want to go hiking again. I want to do some things I wasn't able to do actually. Retrospectively, you look and say like, yeah, I stopped doing like those really big hikes and things like that because my knee was hurting me. So anyway, so I so I so I just I took the PT wicked seriously. I had gotten a PT from the first doctor, so I started doing I was going to make my quads and everything as strong as they could be, and I have this goal where I'm going to go skiing in February. I started that like last year in February, or this year I guess in February for next year's skiing, and I think I'm on track really well for it. So that's cool.
Excellent. Very cool. And there are three words in particular that I was listening to and heard that describe your deliberate and intentional approach to this. You had a goal. You have a goal
Mhm.
for being able to ski. You were very intentional and purposeful regarding strengthening the quad because that is so important going into any orthopedic surgery, any part of our body, having the muscles as strong as possible around it. It helps coming out of it. And you wanted the best doctors. So those three
Mhm.
examples describe a high level of purpose, of intentionality.
Hmm. Oh, thank you. That's cool. So yeah, so there was a waiting list for this doctor, but I was like, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait for the best one,
Mhm.
and then I mean, I became family at the PT place. Pretty much it felt like anyway, and um, and then interestingly, right before my surgery, I wanted to have a sound mind, so I just said, if the surgery doesn't go well, I'm gonna make sure my partner's all set up, everything's taken care of,
Mhm.
including the fall cleanup. I took care of all my two-legged jobs, a lot of two-legged jobs I had, and I went into that surgery that morning being like all set to go, and I was I've been in the medical arena for my whole life, doing
Mhm.
device manufacturing, and so I am intrigued by all these things as well. So
Mhm.
a friend of mine ran a company out west that actually made these cool knees that we have today. They made titanium and zinc and things, and so I learned all about that, and I really got interested in the whole thing. It was pretty exciting. So I
That
went
level,
into the surgery just a peace of mind, ready to go.
excellent, excellent. That's the way to be, Don. And I'm not surprised, knowing you as I do. For those of you who are watching live or watching the recording, did you just pick up on Don's curiosity? His there's a wonderful benefit to elevating whatever you're going through, whether it is physical pain, chronic pain, maybe you're approaching having an orthopedic surgery, perhaps a total knee replacement, or whatever it might be, or even if it's just you're highly stressed, that level of curiosity is so good. There's a lot of goodness that comes from that. And I invite you to elevate your curiosity as we continue with this, what I think you'll find is a positive, encouraging conversation regarding resilience. And let me welcome you to Plan to Be Your Best Live. I'm Rick Cram, author of the upcoming book, Plan to Be Your Best as You Navigate Pain. It's how to transform your journey with pain into a powerful journey of resilience and a new way of thriving. It's an approach to discover your own unique resilience and help it grow your way. So with me now is Don Kennel, someone I'm proud to call a dear and great friend of mine. He's been part of one of the Plan to Be Your Best groups since early 2020. Started this one in
Mm.
particular started as COVID was setting in. And Don, we're talking about your journey with your total knee replacement, which you had late August. And I'm curious to know, here you are, so many weeks out, and how are you doing?
Well, I'm feeling better than I did before the surgery, so that was
Yeah.
really good. So, but I'm able to do some things I hadn't been able to do for a couple of years without realizing it. Um, so like standing straight up on my leg, I couldn't do that before. I had a terrible bone spurs and stuff apparently, and I couldn't put any pressure on my leg. I during the pre-surgery period of time, I did go skiing. And oh my god, it was so painful. There's no way you can ski without making both legs straight at some time, and that just fed right into my like I'm doing this. I'm getting this better. So today I'm able to stand forever. I stand straight up on my knee. Um, I I worked really hard during the post-op to get to I'm 9+ weeks out from surgery, and I'm over 135 degrees. That they measure. I learned this afterwards. They measure degrees of range of motion, and your legs straight out is zero, and then as you make your knee closer and closer, that's the angle that they measure. So I'm in the high 130s right now, well the mid 130s, and it's only 9 weeks out. Um, so each one of these things are little micro goals I was making. So you can't get there right away. So I got to 90 as fast as I could, and then 120 was like way ahead of schedule, and then I've been just these. It's fun. You can measure your progress in anything in life, I think, if you just look for it.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I'm so happy for you. Those are great numbers, and interesting how you described. And we've talked about this before. You might have, and we might have, grand goals. I want to be able to ski. next winter, for example, as you're saying. But then there are these micro goals, the goals that
Hmm.
reflect the seemingly smaller things you need to do to get to that larger goal. And you're
Hmm.
making great progress. Let me ask you, Don, what can you describe the kind of pain you were in the past couple of years leading up to this, and, or even going into this surgery in the days and months before the surgery? What was the pain experience like for
Well, let's see. There's two answers to that. One is when I did stress my knee and do things like even blowing leaves with a leaf blower, trying because you're putting a lot of pressure. I'm left-handed, and all the tools are right-handed, so I was on my right leg and twisting and everything, and it would be. I'd work through it, and then it was just a. I don't know how to describe it. It was uncomfortable. I could say I'll
you?
say that. But I
Mhm.
don't know how to describe um, the that type of pain. And then I couldn't sleep for 2 nights after that. I mean, my leg was just really throbbing and everything. And then I go out and do it again because gotta get done. But then the other one was we're really good at the subconscious telling you not to do stuff. So I
Yeah.
found I was actually walking upstairs without having my leg ever straight.
Mhm.
It was I didn't even realize until after the surgery that I was like guarding myself all the time. So I felt like, oh, I could do anything still because I was adjusting to it.
Yes, yes. Well, I get it. And thinking about this before my total knee replacement in my late 30s, or I think I was 40, this was the sixth surgery. One of the kinds of pain that was common and really profound, even going back to after the football injury nearly 50 years ago, was pain behind the knee. There was pain underneath the kneecap. There was pain different places, but particularly behind the knee, in the back of the knee. Did you experience that? Did you?
Yeah, I think mine was more like because I've learned more about this. The patella tendons, the one in
Mhm.
the front underneath your kneecap. That
Mhm.
one was the more painful, but I did get the one behind the leg, and then I would get cramps all the way up the quad inside your leg. It was that would be a little telltale too. And I've been
Yes,
trying to hydrate a lot, but I couldn't make that go away.
yes,
but
yes.
But the
Um,
but the real answer to your question, boy, when I was bone on bone, it was like I don't I now that you there's a there's a finally a scale of like I've seen for 1 through 10, like what does that mean, And what is like
mm,
your face, what your face is like, and I was on that 8-9 face when I really triggered that, it was like whoa,
right,
yeah.
right. That's the kind of pain we get morphine for.
Hmm. Perhaps,
And
yeah.
that's there's a whole conversation to have right there regarding that scale of pain from 0 to 10, 10 being high, and and it can be a very individual experience. I remember someone saying that they're standing being interviewed talking about their knee pain and saying that it's a 7, but they're standing there calm and
Hmm.
they say it's a 7. 7 is still what they give you after surgery, for example. They give you morphine to get down to a 7. Yeah,
Wow,
and
yeah.
yeah, and so
But I would
and
say mine was like instant though. Since I moved my leg, it was okay. It was just a shock pain. It wasn't like a sustaining pain when I triggered it.
right.
I think I would have asked for something more if it was sustained. Hmm.
Yes, yes, yes. What have you learned through the course of having the surgery and since then? Is there anything in particular that, if you reflect on it, something that you've learned about yourself that perhaps might have been, this is new?
I confirmed it. I really enjoy new things, learning, experiencing it.
Mhm.
I I the one thing that's not the answer to your question, but a part that really part of this is your community support. Oh my gosh, it's really it does take just more than yourself to do this kind of stuff. And my partner, she was just unbelievable about how she dealt with it. I'll say something about that in a minute. But all my friends would text me, like, "How's it going?" and call and stop by. It was really that part was really good. And the PT guys, this I'm going to do a one plug here. The Saco Bay therapy people,
Mhm.
they're unbelievable. They were just so they were targeting exactly what was going on when they needed. It was really impressive, getting experts helping with that. And I want to, I did the exercises at home. I did a lot of them, but I don't think you can just do it yourself. You really need some people helping you with that. My partner was the most surprising one because um, she go after we had the final checkup with the doctor. That was last week and a half ago. We're getting back in the car, and she says to me, she said, "So how did I do? Did I help? Was I helping a lot?" And, honey, you gotta be kidding! You made this whole thing work for me because I couldn't have done this by myself. You're hauling the ice all night, all the time and night, and all this stuff, and you just had such a great app. She was always happy about, really supportive and everything. And I asked her why. Why are you asking? And she says, like, I was scared to death. She said, you're going through something really serious, and I don't want to, give you the wrong feeling for it. So she was really good at putting the right face on for me. But it's but it takes a lot of people to help you, though.
Yes, it's so important, and that's a profound point. In fact, you asked me recently, what am I learning through the course of talking to different people through this podcast? Plan to be your best. Some of them have been dealing with profound challenges and adversity through cancers. Deb Creer, a three-time cancer survivor. Diana Fritz lost her left eye to cancer behind the eye. And last night I talked to Dan Griffin, who he and his wife lost a number of children to babies, to miscarriages. And they've all talked about, virtually in some way, either directly or indirectly, people going through or reflecting on their adversity refer to the significance of community and
Hmm.
that not to go it alone. So that's been clearly profound for both of you. Just curious, did Christine experience that sense of and the value of community as well?
I hope so.
Mhm.
But she had friends that she was talking to all the time. Um, it was so interesting, like when you're gonna go buy a car, you start seeing that car model all the time. And beforehand, I was I was anytime I saw somebody who had the scar on their knee, I was like, oh, I had to ask them about it, and she was just as interested in hearing all the stories as I did. But then it turns out some of her friends were actually getting surgeries one night, even the same day I did, but she didn't even know about it until she started talking about it. So no, I think she had a network of folks as well, but I'll have to ask her that today. Hmm.
Because and the reason I ask is, and we've talked about this, is that you're not going through it alone. She
Hmm.
is very much there. She chose to be very present there and supportive. But it's an experience for you in your own way. It's an experience for her in her own way.
Hmm.
Just curious, what more has she shared with you about what it's been like for her?
Well, the other thing that came up is it turns out she has a knee problem too, and and that was and she's been hiding that really well apparently. So sadly, after going through it with me, she decided she's going to wait a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
but the doctor we went to actually did a small consult with her during my session, my last
Mhm.
session, and he said, "Look, this is a great way to proceed, and then when you're ready for the knee thing, just give us a call and put you on the list." So,
Mhm.
and he's pretty hard to get a hold of, so that was pretty exciting that she probably will do it one day, but she wasn't ready to do it today because. I mean, I was relentless about making sure I did everything you're supposed to do. I mean, everything,
Yeah.
and it was all night long. Early on, first 2 weeks, you're like in the middle of the night walking around the house with your walker, and it's I just did it all.
That's impressive, Don. It really is. But to your point, it is a very individual decision for people to make regarding, all right, when am I ready and willing and going to go ahead and take action, pick up the phone and call, set up that appointment just to talk to the doctor.
Hmm.
And when am I going to, what does it take? What point do I need to get to actually say, all right, it's time to schedule that surgery. I'm ready. It's very individual. Um, Working with a number of hospitals on this very point, and how can a hospital communicate with doctors and with the public and patients to help them and encourage them, respecting their need to make the decisions in their own way, in their own time. How to communicate
Hmm.
with them. It took up a lot of conversation, a lot of research to how to really connect with people, to encourage them along the way, with the main focus on helping people get the relief that they so very much need and deserve. So I'll be
Hmm.
curious to know when Christine decides to move forward, and why.
Yeah.
Maybe I have the chance to talk to her about that at some point.
Well, that'd be cool. But yeah, yeah, I'm guessing I didn't really know anybody except for yourself that's been through this. So I know people who had them a long time ago, but yeah, one of my neighbor friends, Jim, he had his scheduled 2 weeks ago, I guess,
Mhm.
and I just thought, Jim, I'm gonna stop by and talk to you about this and tell you what's going on because it's you're fresh on your mind like this,
Mhm.
knowing what's happening, and then showing somebody, look, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's a big deal, but
Yeah.
it's doable. It's doable. He's really in good shape and rides his bike a lot and does stuff. He's a lobster fisherman, and but he started hearing some bad things, and oh my gosh, it just he called me several times afterwards, and I touched base once a week with him, see how he's doing, and said I'll do whatever you want, even though stupid stuff like how to take a shower and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
For those of you who are watching, I want to encourage you, do your research, talk to everyone you can about it. Get research from reliable, credible sources. Talk to your doctor about it. So much There's a lot that's changed in the past 25 years. Great improvements in terms of everything from the the safety of it, the procedure itself, the what doctors know. My particular doctor who did the last number of surgeries on me and did the knee replacement in 2000. Going into it, he said this will last you 15 years. Maybe you'll be lucky to get to 20, and it was to the week. It was to the
wow.
week one. I got to 20, and I only needed a partial revision of the total knee replacement from 2000. And the implants, the titanium implants, are stable and in great shape still. So here I am,
Hmm.
25 years out. Um, I've been very relatively inactive through these 25 years, especially since the seventh surgery, which is something the vast majority of most people don't experience. This is rare because it involves nerve damage. But back then, there was a 2% chance that the people, let me phrase it this way. In the year 2000, research showed that there's a 2% chance that you would not survive the experience, whether it's something from the surgery or an infection afterwards or some kind of health complication afterwards. And that number it's now, I believe, well under percent, under 1%. So things have improved. Talking to my doctor, one of the things that they have done over the past 25 years has been extremely purposeful and then very intentional. There's that intention word again, at looking for new ways to enhance the patient's experience and ability to recover as quickly as possible, including such as going home much sooner. When I had my knee replacement in 2000, I was in the hospital for, I believe, at the time, 4 nights. You went
Oh,
home the same day.
I went home an hour and a half later, I think. Yeah, yeah. I went in at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and I would say 40 minutes after the surgery, I was walking with the walker down to to the bathroom, and then they didn't even put me in a wheelchair on the way out. I had to walk out to the car. It was like it was fascinating. Yeah, so you're in there for a couple hours and out, and they and Christine was, watching some signs that I had to worry about that I wasn't worrying about, and yeah, and then I just, followed you definitely need to take some pain medicine because it hurts. They just open up your leg. But thankfully, the way the nerve blocks work is things just turn on slowly. So
Mhm.
every day or two, there's like a new thing turning on your leg, or maybe a new pain. The side bands that they had, those were probably the hardest things. And um, but as long as you stay, those were daily challenges, and you took the medication when it got a little too hard. Maybe I found walking on it more and more was the better way to go, which is probably caused it to hurt more. I don't know, but it felt like that was going to be the better thing.
Mhm.
But just stay true to those weekly goals I had. That was really good to figure out. Okay, how much I'm supposed to do. And
And that's an interesting point. You felt you could tell for yourself it was best to go ahead and move as much as possible. And to be sure, the movement helps the blood flow, helps the healing. Our joints are made to move. So you
mm,
are reprogramming your joint to get back to doing what it's meant to do. And however you might describe it, it just seemed like the right thing for you to do. Um, After my replacement, um, 25 years ago, they had my leg for the first few days, actually through my stay for several days in the hospital, in a machine that bent it and straightened it out on its own. I didn't have to. It was called the uh, continuous. Um, I forget the exact acronym. It was like continuous passive movement machine.
hmm.
And I, some of my friends who were getting, uh, who had talked about a number of people I was connected with across the country getting their knees replaced. I think we started referring to the CPM machine as a continuous pain machine. But I don't.
Wow.
Did they put your leg in a machine in the hours or that hour or so before you left the hospital to get it moving?
No,
Yeah.
no. No, I literally, I was moving within the 40 minutes of, I mean, I sat up in this chair, I think, and, a little fuzzy from all the drug, the anesthesia and
Mhm.
all that. But right away, there's this really fun, she was a fun person. Her name is Raven, and she was a PT at the hospital, and she was just making me start move stuff right away. Um, and then she just, just got me on the walker. So okay, it's time to figure out how to use this thing now. and
Wow.
and then I had to do like a thing going up and down the stair for a bit. Anyway, which she was really checking to see how well it was all working too, I guess.
Yes.
But no,
Yes.
it was pretty. Yeah, I was just blown away how quickly there was none of that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's all me, basically all me doing it. um,
Right. Right. And it makes me wonder what my some of my experiences would have been like if I had an injury now and needed um, any kind of surgery.
hmm,
So the football injury on November 8th in uh, 1975, my first surgery was the following March. We were waiting to see if one of the arthroscope machines were available. There was one in New York and only one in Boston at the time. These were new
wow.
machines. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I was in so much
Wow.
pain. The doctor kept asking me to wait. But I called one particular day. I remember the conversation with the receptionist. She answered the phone. I'm in excruciating pain. And I got to talk to the doctor. And she said, "Is it an emergency?" I said, "No, it's urgent." And but that was the move. That was the next step to saying, "All right, we can't wait for the
Hmm.
arthroscopy approach." They opened up my knee on both sides, and I was in the hospital for 10 days. The
Wow.
my knee swelled up, a lot of internal bleeding. My knee felt like it was in a vice 24/7,
Hmm.
extraordinary pain. They had me on morphine to the point where they overdosed me. And that's why I would have probably been out of the hospital at 7 days, but because of needing to wean me off of the morphine, I was in there for 10 days. And
Wow.
you know, and then
Hmm.
I'll never know why, but for some reason they had removed a bone chip the size of a dime. Most of the meniscus, at least on the medial side of the left knee, it was all torn, but they left the torn meniscus in on the lateral side. But my kneecap started tracking back and forth across the femur, and the kneecap itself, from that irritation, doubled in size. So
Wow.
that's what was the catalyst for needing the second surgery, and that was with the scope in New York at Lenox Hill Hospital, but that ended up backfiring. It
Hmm.
the doctor tried didn't work. Therefore, the third surgery removed the rest of the meniscus, reshaped the kneecap, removing half of it back down to normal size, brought the some of the VMO part of the quad to over the kneecap to restabilize it. And that gave me basically at that point a fully arthritic knee at the age of 20. And it bought me about 15 years worth of being able to be active. I was more active than I should have been. But so
Yeah.
that's it would have been this is my point is back then there could be complications. If it was today, the story would have been very different.
Yeah. Well, they've also decided not to save certain things anymore, like your ACL and PCL. They're out. You know, when they do the total knee. There are some. In my research, I did see some doctors in the California West Coast area. They keep your PCL, but at the East Coast, they just take them both out because it's not really, you know, it's not really helping the implant. They feel so. But
Yeah.
yeah, an extraordinary. I mean, when I went into this and did my research and everything, you know, you were always on top of mind because I knew your journey has been unbelievable, and it's yeah, it's knowing all the opportunities for failure, you know, problems to happen. I was just lucky. Maybe I don't know.
Not at all lucky. Your story, what you're experiencing, is exactly what everyone can expect.
Mhm,
Complications can and do happen, but they are rare. And
mhm.
I can tell you that doctors, whether it's in a wonderful, some of the most advanced healthcare areas like Greater Boston, you've got superb healthcare up there in Portland, Maine, and the same as around the country. So I'd want to point out whatever anyone might be hearing about my story, what I'm experiencing is rare, and uh,
Mhm.
and so I, I I I want to take every chance I can to encourage people um, to pursue what they need to be able to get the relief that they so greatly need and deserve.
Yeah, this doctor, I'm probably going to say his name, but Dr. Rana, he's just fantastic, and he's restored, you know, people with real, you know, people in sports that want to professionally and things, and so he does this really well. At the
Yeah.
end of the report, with all the details about what he did do to my knee, you know, and you know the whole medical view of it. At the very end, he said the surgery went beautifully, and that was I thought that's a real artist right there. You know, that was pretty
Yes.
cool.
Yes. Let me try this. I am using a platform I really like. It's called Riverside. It's meant for podcasters. And I'm going to try to share my screen and show some of the images that you've shared with me. And let me see which one I'm going to show first. Um, if this doesn't work, bear with me. I'm going to share my screen and go with this particular image first. Do you see this, Don?
I oh, there's three of us on my screen now. Yeah, there's my
Oh,
X-ray on the top left. Yep.
very
So
good. To whatever extent, I'm not sure if, let me see, to whatever extent, oh, very good. I see this is new. I'm relatively new with Riverside. I'm not sure what options I've got for changing the focus here, but tell us what you, actually, let me first
sure.
ask you, what do you what do you feel when you first look at your new knee?
Well, the very first time I saw the X-ray, I was tapping along to see what kind of where I could feel metal and things. That was really interesting. So the well, it's funny. Dr. Rana during the final thing, the final meeting with him, where he discharged me, I guess. Um, I said, "Geez, I have much more of a gap than I've seen in other people's X-rays." And he said, "Don, we don't treat X-rays; we treat patients." And then he starts pointing out all the bone spurs I had that you can see in this X-ray. So the one on the right is my pre-surgery one, obviously, and I had so many bone spurs, and it was interesting from my trainer Jillian. She said, 10 to 12 years after a meniscus torn meniscus surgery, you're probably going to go in for a knee, and so I think the scar tissue and then all this arthritic bone spurs and things were going on there. Um, I mean, just because we've all seen skeletons for Halloween right now,
Yeah.
it's always interesting to see how high up your kneecap is. You think a kneecap would be like more in the middle, but it floats up higher, and and then of course X-rays don't show all the parts that they put in because there's some plastic involved too. So I was surprised at how big the gap on the left was compared to I had no gap before. So
And,
there's some
and what,
plastic caps there. Hmm?
it's a hard plastic polyethylene, and that does not come up, does not show in X-rays.
No.
So that's why we see the gap between the two titanium implants, one on the
Yeah.
top, which is the end of your femur.
And then the kneecap, you'll see that that's actually it actually looks bigger, but it must be an angle. But it's not as thick as it was either. And they shave off any bone spurs and pieces there, and they actually glue a polyethylene plastic on your kneecap too, so it can ride on top of these parts. So it's that's why that's floating out in space more like that.
Exactly.
um,
That there's they used to call it. Maybe they use the term button. It's a plastic button on basically the back of your kneecap.
Yeah, yeah, they might have said that. I don't remember. They had some models that you always play with when you go in the office. So,
Yeah,
so, uh,
but
so
it's
anyway, yeah,
interesting to see.
and a lot of the ones I've seen online because you're looking, you have to research everywhere, Doctor Google and everything, and they look more like a golf tee at the bottom part and to your uh, tibia, but this one's more of a flat piece there, and I was worried about because knowing a little too much about medicine, like how much of my bone marrow is going to be ripped out here because I want my blood to be. I have really good blood right now. I want to keep that,
Yeah.
and so you can see they drill a little hole into your tibia, and that's the only displacement. Everything else is pretty much on surface area that they just fine tune.
Yes.
It's
Yes. Let me
it's
see.
just fascinating when you see how clean the whole thing is, and you realize you have all your veins and blood vessels and everything tucked to the side when they're doing this.
Right. Right.
Um,
It's really remarkable. Really remarkable.
yeah,
Let
and
me actually.
during the report, the one thing that I thought was funny is one of the tests they do when they make sure the surgery went well is they move your leg in the full range. And so, like he said, I had a full range of motion on my knee, and by the
Yeah.
time I started using that, it was not going anywhere.
Right. Right.
I couldn't even get 90 degrees out of it. Like, how did he do
Yeah.
that?
Exactly. Exactly. Let me share the other image. Let me see if this one comes up. This will be a front i-
Yeah,
image.
and then the other feeling I got was, wow, this implant looks a lot bigger than the one we were playing with in office. And he said, yeah, you had to use a thicker one because I had a lot more arthritic issues than you just don't know until you go in there. That's the way it works. So that implant isn't as thick as that because on the front it's actually a cup shape like this, but
Hmm. Hmm.
but but and it was interesting, during the recovery, there are pieces that felt loose.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like one day I did a little too much yard work about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then I'm laying sitting on the couch and I'm tapping my kneecap and it's clicking up and down. And it was so it's like, wow, check this out, Christine. And she was like, I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
It was like, but now it's totally tight now. And so it's a I would say after the first 3.5 weeks is when I felt like it was my knee. Before that I didn't know what
Mhm.
it was, you know. It was definitely the alien thing. And but then after 3.5 weeks, the two of us got along really well. Now it feels like it's mine now.
How about the swelling? What condition? How would you describe how swollen the knee is or isn't?
My knees, um, well, two answers. When I wake up in the morning, it's actually the same size as the other one now, which is really good. And my thigh, the upper thigh is like a little, it gets a little, it's a little more swollen. But even this, I guess this week it feels like they're both about the same. But if I do some stuff, it gets swelled during the day.
Yeah.
So, but I felt compelled to show you. But
Yes.
anyway, I'm not sure how much I can show, but it's yeah. So it's not really swollen at all anymore.
Oh, that looks excellent.
Yeah, and look at all this motion I can do. Holy
Yeah.
cow!
That's superb.
And
Superb.
I don't even have this. My surgical scar is not even noticeable. Really, it's a small thin line already. So, but I've been doing the Vine on and everything. Yeah, it's best to
Excellent. Yeah.
follow directions when they tell you, because it's just
Excellent.
2 months of your life. You know, it's easy to follow directions.
Yeah. So just for a moment, I really don't want to put the emphasis on the group we've been meeting for several years now since the beginning of COVID. With basically, we the plan to be your best group is one of your communities, if you will, one of your
Hmm.
part of your tribe, so to speak. And just curious, is there anything that's come out of all the conversations that we've had about plan to be your best, about resilience, all the different topics that we've covered? Is there anything that might have meant something extra to you going into and through the surgery and recovery?
Hmm.
Whether it's having
That's a
whether it's
really big
whether it's a thought
question.
or maybe even more. I got the sense, if I may, that there was an elevated sense of, gee, I'm glad we're meeting. You started meeting with us immediately after the surgery, and there was
Right.
I sensed that you were really glad that that was remaining on your calendar. This small group was here for you.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's much bigger than just my knee. The group. The group's been fantastic. It's um, you know, you're planning to be as any program, plan to be the best as it's all about everything, you know.
Yeah.
And our group has taken each step, each piece of it, and really thought about it and stopped and just talked about it. And the perspectives that we all bring to the table, it's only a small group of people, but the perspectives are fascinating to see the different, different ways of looking at things. And I think because the way you're really good at this, the way you run it, we all just feel free to just share how we're feeling about it. Nobody has a wrong answer. It's and we build on each other really well. So I think too often we see a picture of a plant, program, and like, oh yeah, I can see that, I see this and that. But to actually take the trip a little bit at a time through the words that are on the chart, not the steps. The steps are that's life. You just go through those. But to stop and think about what the step is and why you're doing it and why is that so important. I think we've done a really good job of that through the years.
I actually agree, and thank you for all that you just shared. Let me suggest this to those of you who are watching. If you're looking at getting into a small group, and I encourage you to do that, look for, even if it takes finding through the course of trying a few different groups, find one where you're feeling safe to share your perspectives, your thoughts and emotions, that you're helping to create a safe place for others whether it's a Plan to Be Your Best group or another one, look for exactly what Don was describing. That safety, that respectful, compassionate environment is what helps make a small group thrive and be so valuable. So I
Hmm.
encourage you. And let me just offer, there are two different free groups that I do twice a month. Therefore, 4 times a month, there's Plan to Be Your Best. Um, and it's basically called Take Heart, the first and third Sundays of each month. There's one this particular Sunday, November 2 at 3 o'clock. It's always at 3 o'clock on Sundays, the first and third Sunday of each month. And it is that safe place to basically talk about and experience a combination of encouragement and resilience based on the idea that when we focus on it, we experience it. You'll experience the chance to be encouraged. You can encourage others and even feel the lift of when you do encourage others, how that flows right back to you because of the beauty of neuroplasticity. And then I've also moved the cadre group called Your Resilience Coaching Studio, which is a little bit more in depth, but it's free. And it's the first and third Tuesday of each month. It's by Zoom. You can find out information at rickcram.com. Take a look at it, line up a call, free call or two with me to think about what might be most appropriate for you. And I'm here for you to suggest try this, try that. And to a great extent, trying, testing ways to navigate your and strengthening your resilience is really important to do. Try new things, be assertive and even bold in doing that. And who's your friend there, Don?
Oh, this is Swinnix. She probably had the hardest time through my surgery because I was afraid to have her jump on my leg for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So she didn't understand that at all. So yeah, we finally figured out how to not do that, and then now she's okay. It's no big deal.
Very good. Very
I
good.
just I got a little hypersensitive about splitting the surgery site open. They obviously suture it underneath your skin, but they just super glued it, and it's fascinating how quickly that heals when it's just super glued like that. But I was always afraid of her punching it because she's really good at finding exactly the spot that you're not supposed to hit.
Yes, yes. Excellent, excellent. So I know I love dogs. I've had a number of them through my life. I'd like to think I can get back to a point where I can get a dog. I can't take one for a walk, but for a couple of days at a time. But they're part of the family, aren't they?
Oh yeah, yeah. My part of my recovery was I lived near a beach in Maine, and we would do an afternoon walk every day. When I was on had a cane, not the walker, but
Mhm.
and boy, was that that was just really rewarding. And then she of course she likes it too, but it was good to just get out and just do that walk and doing it was like a crushed stone and stuff walk, and then you go to the beach and just walk on the beach and your foot's moving around in the sand. It's like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah,
so so it's
wonderful.
yes. So I am looking forward to taking her for some trips that I couldn't do with her before the surgery. We have a lot of hills within an hour and a half from here, and I'm definitely getting ready to do this pretty soon with her once I'm allowed.
Fantastic, excellent. Let me ask you. We scheduled this very spontaneously, and in the time leading up from since we last talked on Wednesday to today, was there any particular question or topic that you thought I might bring up, or you want to talk about?
um, no, nothing really comes to mind. Um, it's really interesting. It's like we our group we all have such love for you, and it's like we all don't know how to help you. Other than being with you, but and I told you several times I felt guilty. You'd ask me how I was doing, and then I'd say, "Oh my gosh, I got this going on, that going on," and I'm like, I used to feel guilty. Like, oh gosh, you've had such a really, I don't even know what the adjective is, trip through your 7 knee surgeries. It's just unbelievable. But I mean, to your resilience is fascinating because like you're always going to try something else, the next thing that might be there. At least analyze it, not do it, but analyze it, which I think is that's a huge thing, for all these years that you've been trying.
Thank you for everything you just shared. It means more than you'll ever know. You
Mm.
all, I love you all. We've been meeting since 2020. First, I believe, almost daily or 3 times a week, and now we're once a
Mhm.
week. A wonderful small group that we've journeyed these years together with in powerful ways. You've helped me all tremendously in a
Mm.
number of ways. Um, I understand what you're saying regarding your journey, and here is someone um, I'm on a unique path. It's a rare path. A couple things to reflect on, if I may, being able to look forward to our group each week is a source of strength for me. One of the things that it gives me the ability to do is share with you all what I'm learning through this high impact chronic pain journey, being able to offer a few nuggets, being able to talk about what I'm experiencing, the mental part of it, the physical part of it, to be sure, the emotional part, the way the book is coming together is part. It actually offers me healing, real time healing through it
Mm.
all. And so, and I've found, and one of the key parts of the plan to be your best approach, and well, you'll, for anyone who reads the book and goes through it, or if you talk to me, one of the things we will discuss is what are the different ways that each individual has a need to express what they're experiencing, because not expressing it, holding it in, it builds up like a pressure cooker, and there can
Mhm.
be adverse, that can add to the adversity of the experience. So expressing every part of any individual's pain journey, expressing it in anyone's own unique way, whether it's talking with a group, talking to one person, uh,
Mhm.
journaling, or talking into their iPhone and taking notes, and I do all of the above. I found
Mhm.
it to be absolutely essential to navigate daily pain. And
Mhm.
I'd say, just as I often say, and one of the key points in the book is the the level of pain must be matched by the level of intentionality. And there are
Mhm.
numerous ways to be intentional in your own unique way. That's why there are the 8 paths of intentionality. How to go from feeling as though I'm not prepared for this to then being able to transition to saying I'm able. I know what I now need to do with the help of Rick or anyone else to become able,
Mhm.
to elevate the way that, look, for example, in the listen path of intentionality, how to listen to that internal conversation, listen to the thoughts, listen to the words that are reflecting the thoughts and the emotions, the choices being made. There's so many different ways to do it, and in a way, I'll conclude this thought about our group is that just as anyone going through the plan to be your best approach finds ways of sparking the ability to win back the focus that pain takes away, to win back, finding ways of creating new energy while pain takes away energy and can be very exhausting. Our
Mhm.
group, for me, is a source of energy in numerous ways. And I'm so thankful that you're a part of that.
Oh wow, that's cool. Yeah, I know everybody feels better when we're done. It was,
Yeah.
I was working. I had several businesses, and boy, I always make time for this because it was important. It was because you're gaining from it, as you say, but each of us for it. You're stopping and thinking about just your parts of your life and how you do things and what's most important. Um, and that's a pretty cool thing to do an hour a week.
It really is. And actually, to your point, just what you've experienced has affected going into the knee replacement, through it, and since then, it affects every part of life. Your
Hmm.
time, your comfort, your energy, your thoughts, your feelings,
Hmm.
um, so it's a whole person experience, and that's why the plan to be your best approach is a whole person methodology. There was something that
Hmm.
you just said that stood out, Don. You mentioned your work. Tell us about
Hmm.
historic maps.
Sure. Yeah, we're I through some prior employment opportunities, I wound up getting asked by an investor in a company to help kind of run and steer this company, Historic MapWorks, and that was like 2019. So I've and it's just been an amazing part of my life. It's we the founder assembled 1.1 million maps and artifacts that was carefully digitized by a bunch of people from IDEX back in the day, working at moonlighting, and they're all carefully scanned, high res scanned, and geocoded where they put the latitude longitudes on the maps, and they create this website that's just free for the viewing, and you can look up your house or grandma's house or your town that you're in, and over time, and just they were just artists, and they were very accurate actually, which was pretty surprising because as they were geocoded, we have a feature where you can historic Earth, where you can go through time and go through your same location over time, and there was a little bit of overlap, but these people didn't have GPS back in the day, so it's pretty interesting. So we have 1.5 million maps of all around the United States, some Europe, world maps, and we print on demand, and we also provide them for research capabilities. We have lots of genealogists, metal detector people looking for the old outhouse for a farm, and a lot of people just looking for family artifacts for like where great grandma's house was and what it looked like back in the day and things like that. We also have a library and university subscription system. We have a research version of our website, and it's always fun to share like the locations of the libraries back in the day, and people see what that looked like at the time. So so yeah, so it's historicmapworks.com, and they make great Christmas presents.
I love the maps. I'm the proud owner of one of them that means so much to me, from a special part of New Rochelle, New York, where I was born. Don, how far back do some of the maps date?
Oh, 1600s, 1700s, late, yeah, mid 1700s through the 1800s is pretty much the majority of them.
Mhm.
Um, so I live in Maine near Portland, and we go through like the late 1700s and up through when the whole waterfront wasn't even there, which is the one that's there today, Commercial Street, and that was all backfilled and built out further and further. So it's a really beautiful. They're really nice pieces of art, and the most fun ones are bird's eye views, which was like somebody went up in a balloon and just painted that town with the low horse and buggies and the 3-dimensional view of what things looked like back in the day.
That's fantastic. So Portland experienced some of the same development as Boston, such as the Back Bay area being filled in with landfill from Needham and other areas. Portland, the same apparently.
Yeah, we did the well, the bayfront. We still have a back cove, we call it, not back bay. I call
Mhm.
it back bay all the time, but so that thing get filled in, but parts of it did get filled in. Yeah, Route 95, 295 right now goes over what used to be still part of the bay, and that was filled in. Yeah, that's interesting. We're looking at like where the reservoirs used to be. They were the highest point in Portland, which are like mostly real business centers now. But
Yeah,
that was what you did with water back then.
right. Fascinating, fascinating.
Yeah.
How can people find it online?
Oh, just Historic MapWorks, HISTORICMAPWORKS.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to encourage everyone to at least go check it out and just look for maps based on where you live or where you've traveled to or lived in the past. You'll love it. It really is fantastic.
Yeah, the
Don,
only thing is you have to give yourself some time because it's easy to get lost in the maps. You
yeah,
start looking at, wow, did I really walk that far when I was a kid? That's impressive.
yeah. Don, you're the best. Thank you so much, Don. I really appreciate your sharing your story and
Hmm.
your experience, and I'm a holder of hope for you for getting to that point where you're healed thoroughly and able to be back on the mountain slopes, ski slopes this coming winter.
I'm looking forward to it too. And thank you so much for your support and help through all this too. And
More to follow, more to follow. And let me just
hopefully
close by
tricks today. Hopefully no tricks for you today, just treats.
that sounds good to me. That sounds good to me. Likewise, yes, happy Halloween. And for anyone who would
Hmm.
like to contact Don, please do so. If you've got a question for him, you can add the comment here. We'll both be looking at, and I'll let Don know of any time there any questions that you might have for him and how to connect with him. You'll get answers. If you have any questions for me, um, comment away or contact me. I appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel for more resilience, times when you can just come as you are, leave stronger with reminders that your best is greater than the pain. Again, Don, thank you so much. To all of you, have yourselves a good rest of the day and week and holiday season coming up. And I'll look forward to being with you again with more for your resilience. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Okay.